up and welcome to Nighttime at the Nerd Bar, episode 10. Oh my goodness, we're at 10. That's like amazing. I'm so excited for us. Yay!
How? I said I'm going to be asking how every new episode. It's like, we're continuing? It's another week? What happened?
Yes, we are super excited to be here, as you can tell. Also, I'm very excited because we have a special guest for our 10th episode, but we're going to go down the line real quick to let you know who we are in case you are new to this stream. Also, if you're joining us live, welcome. Join us in the chat. We'll be checking that out as well. And if you're watching later, no worries. Comment down below your thoughts on the episode and the different things we talk about. Well, again, welcome one more time. And I am Carrie Lane, joined by my awesome co-host.
Hi, my buddies. I am Katie Cullen. There it is. Yay.
And our special guest this evening, we got Ally Vega in the house. Woo!
Yay!
Yes, welcome.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Thank you for coming.
Yes.
Of course.
And speaking of being somewhere, you were somewhere really cool this past weekend. You were part of ALA. Tell us about what you were involved in, how the convention went, and anything else you'd like to share.
Yeah. So this is I want to say my 4th year being invited. But before that, I was just a regular attendee. So I got to really be part of seeing the progression of the events, from when it was a baby con in a hotel to where it's at now at the Long Beach Convention Center. And so it feels really awesome because I feel like I'm growing up with it, so to speak, and yeah, I got to be part of ALA's Next Top Star. So I'm one of the judges. I've been judging that competition now for 4 years. This was my 4th year judging it.
Nice.
Yeah, and it basically, for those who are unfamiliar with it, it's basically a variety talent show. So think America's Got Talent. So anything that's performance based, you can compete with. And we basically see who's the ALA's Next Top Star is, and that person gets to perform at Masquerade.
And then, nice.
Yeah, it's really awesome. And then, after that, the hope is that they become a name in the con scene or just even beyond that. And so it was interesting this year because, not even just the competition. It was just interesting being at ALA in general this year. I mean, we are still in a pandemic, and I think there was a lot of feelings leading up to the event, not just for me, but I think in general, the community was feeling a lot of different things. There was people pulling out of the event, which is very understandable, considering what, is going on right now. But so to speak, honestly, it was such a beautiful event. Overall, as someone who was there the entire weekend, it was really nice to be around people, and that part felt very healing. So I don't regret my decision to be there. Just that I was very happy to be there. And but yeah, the competition in terms of that was we had less contestants than we normally do because we get it. It happens.
Yeah.
But for the folks that were competing, it was awesome. And we had more vocalists this year. Usually we get a really nice mix, so my theory is that because of the predicament that we're in, we just happen to have more vocalists, which for those of you who don't know, I'm a choreographer and I'm a movement coach. So, that's not really my forte to comment on people's singing abilities. So I ended up just commenting a lot on stage direction and, our mutual friend, Uchahima Cosplay. She was telling me afterwards, which is really cute. She was like, "You're like the Paula," and which was the best compliment. Because at first I was like, "Wait, what? Paula Abdul?" And she's like, "Yeah." She's like, how in American Idol, Paula Abdul was always like, "Why is she there? She's not a singer." But she's like, "But you know what? She comments on the stage presence, and that's what you were." And I'm like, You know what? I've actually never gotten that comment ever. For as long as I've been judging this competition. So, I'm going to take that. So, shout outs to Brianna for that compliment. But yeah, other than Next Top Star, I also had a panel on Sunday and it was called Candid Conversations. The title is really long. It's a working title, or I don't know. I think it's a working title. It was something that me and Anime LA came up with together. So shout outs to them for co-producing it with me. But yeah, we threw that together because again, like the predicament is like it went from like a panel that it was supposed to originally be women in the industry roundtable, and then it just didn't happen that way. So it kind of morphed into this panel where we just kind of talked candidly about the state of where things are at. And you know what? I felt like that was healing because I think that rawness came through to everybody else. Because I think when it comes to cons, we want to try to like generally be as like polished as possible to people. But I think this was just like a moment where everyone realized like we're just not there right now. Like this is just where it's at. We can't be as polished as back pre-COVID days, So I guess what I'm saying is like overall, I liked how honest the whole event was, and I try to be as honest and real with it as possible too. So yeah, I had a great weekend.
Good.
Well, yeah,
Honestly,
that's awesome.
The candid panels are, in my experience as an audience member, some of the best ones. You get some incredible stuff from those that you don't really get from a moderated Q&A sometimes.
I agree. I think when you allow folks to just kind of like be vulnerable and organic with their, answers, I find that's like way more relatable as an audience member, because yeah, you can give every single like how to of just like this is how I got in the industry or this is how I make this cosplay or whatever. But like those are all things that we could essentially find online, right? Like you can pull up any sort of article or any sort of video that kind of already does that. So like when you get like the raw, unedited like version of folks that are just like, yeah, also go through like the roller coaster of this life and I'm just like you, like I have my highs and my lows and people are just like honest about it. I think that is what makes it human. Yeah.
Well,
sometimes I'd also just got a vibe.
Yes.
Yeah.
And some of your highs are on your social media account. Everybody should go check that out. That's on in the description down below, and then also with her username, which I'm like, hold on, let's take it down for 1 second so we can look at it. I'm like, where did it go? Yes, that. Oh, there we go. That. Yes, there we go. Go check it out. She has a very fun dance video online, so go check that out as well with some of the people we just mentioned, and it's just really adorable. And so what is that like then for you as a person who is part of the anime community of like, you're a fan, but you're also a dancer, choreographer, movement, you're also very outspoken about your ethnic heritage and doing things culturally and bringing that to the forefront. So if you want to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
I know that's a big one to just drop. Yeah.
Like, well, let's all process that together. No, I'm kidding. But look, no, I feel like
I'm like, it's on your social media account. Just bring it attention if people are new. Yeah.
No, it's true. It's true. I feel like for folks who follow me from the anime space, they are usually like, oh, wow, I didn't know you also are in like those other spaces as well. And like vice versa with all those other spaces, because I am very active in like the Asian American / Filipino art space. And so they're usually really surprised when I'm like invited to anime conventions. And all I could say to that is like, I've always been somebody who's very curious about everything. And I have a lot of things I am passionate about. I feel like if you're part of this community, like this geek culture community, we all love these things, right? So I'm no different. I love a lot of things. Like I'm obsessed with different anime and manga and like TV shows and pop culture, and that also goes into like my heritage, because I feel like all of those things are just inherently an extension of me at my core. And so, yeah, I try to find ways to just kind of like intertwine all of these things. And I think over the years, when I was like in my 20s, I was always struggling with compartmentalizing everything. I was like, it sounds insane, but this is really how I used to think. I was like, okay, I'm being Asian now, and then when I leave that space, I can be like anime nerd, which is like ridiculous, like when you say it out loud. But like all of those things are really combined because it's just me. It's essentially just all of me. And so when I started choreographing in the anime space, that really just came to be because I was already a con goer back in the day. And it just so happened that a lot of these cons were starting to dive into like interactive events, interactive shows. And so Anime Expo was the first one to really like, take the dive into like providing that kind of entertainment for attendees. And so I just happened to be at the right place at the right time because I was already attending anime conventions in general. And I was at that time starting to like open my heart to like being an artist full time. And because I wasn't always a dancer. I mean, I've always been a dancer, but like taking it professionally is something completely different. And so, yeah, I wasn't always doing that. And so my first job as a choreographer was with Anime Expo, which is, I think a lot of folks who don't know me in the anime space are usually surprised to find out because they tend to just assume I have like a regular, like Hollywood story of just like, yeah, I got an agent one day and now I'm just doing the grind. Like, but really like my grind started in like the nerd space,
Yeah.
And so that's why like it's great to see other folks like yourselves and like other folks that are just also stepping into that power, because it's like, I don't know, sometimes it's like it's nice when folks like go the traditional route and that works for them and they find themselves in the nerd space and they're like, yeah, I'm here, I started voice acting and now I'm here, I've always liked this, but I think it's cooler when you're like in the nerd space already and you're just like, oh, I could do this, like we're here, and it's such a tight-knit community that and everyone is so supportive of one another. So that's how I really got started, and yeah, I've been here ever since.
It
Nice.
turns out that the nerd space is a really good platform nowadays, just in terms
I
of networking
agree.
and knowing people. So that's great.
Thank you. Thank you. I agree. I think it's hard as I will say, I would say the biggest challenge is that it's hard as like a movement person because, it's not like, I mean, I'm not saying I can't act and voice act, but that's not really like what my agent represents me as. So
Yeah.
it's like, when you're in the nerd space, a lot of times people are really confused as to how like a dancer can be seen as something like guest worthy, like not that anyone has like said that to me to my face because I'm sure they would be afraid to, but like I could just tell I get questions of like when I get announced for cons and they're just like, oh, she's a choreographer, like what does that mean? You know what I mean? And like because it's not like we're like in Japan where we have like they have like live action plays
Yeah.
like Sailor Moon and Haikyuu and all those plays. It's like we're
Yeah.
in the US and we don't really have that. So a lot of times there is confusion, which is valid. But my hope is that the anime scene and the nerd scene in general will take the plunge like AX did and just like invest in more like live entertainment, like live in-house shows, because I think that's something really special if you go to a con. Because as we know, as all con, I assume all of us are con goers here. There's a lot to do, but what I would love to see more of is just like entertainment. Like I would love to go to like an event and see some like Cirque du Soleil level stuff, but it's like you intertwine like the fantasy of all the stuff that we like that to me is so cool, like, and that's the type of stuff I've always dreamt of doing. And so it's kind of cool that I stumbled upon this like kind of work because honestly I never saw it done. So when I started doing it, I was like, I didn't really have anyone to look to for like support or reference even, like even my dance mentors didn't really know how to like support me at the time because they're just like, I've never really seen what you're doing, but I'm glad that I can be there, as, so that younger dancers can see what I do and know that like there is a space for us in these conventions.
Yeah, so you're the pioneer for your space then.
Oh wow. Yeah. I'm trying to get better at like acknowledging that, because I do get it's sometimes it's nerve-wracking. Like, I know there's other dancers who have done this, I'm definitely not like the first and the only by any means, but like we're still such a small niche, and especially when it comes to like long term and longevity about it, it's like people yeah, they're like, well, I don't understand. It's not like you're on a show and you can get like, residuals from that, but I don't know. I would beg to differ. I feel like there is longevity in how you do it. You just have to like play your cards right, I suppose. Yeah.
I feel like we've also got a market out here for like I remember when people discovered that Death Note the musical was a thing that existed and the entire Death Note fandom went completely insane over it for good
Yes.
reason. That musical is
Yeah.
fire in all of the best and worst ways.
Yeah.
I think
I mean,
we've really
also there's been numerous burlesque anime nerdy shows as
yeah.
well, which are
Yeah.
fantastic.
We've
Uh,
definitely got
Right.
a market for it out
yeah.
here. I wonder if it's just a matter of finding investors more
Mhm.
than
Yes.
anything else.
That is because people will throw their money at that 1,000%. It's just like I think a lot of these like upper folks like don't necessarily when they're planning the whole like scope of the show, they're not really seeing like live entertainment as a way to like sell it. They're usually
Mhm.
banking on like overseas talent or like big A-list stars, depending on what kind of con you're at. So they don't really
Right.
see like in-house talent as like a way to get folks in. But I just, my opinion is that I mean, obviously I'm biased because obviously I'm in it, but like I just think like, you know, yeah, you're right. There's a market for it. So we might as well, I feel like every con should be investing in that because there's a market for
Yeah.
it. And there's a
Mhm.
way to get folks like out, even outside of like an anime space or a pop culture space, interested. And I think,
Yeah.
there's money to be made, everybody. So if there's any investors watching this, there's money to be made and hit me up.
Well, and not even at conventions. I'm thinking at like maybe not as big as the Amundsen to start, but like the
Yeah.
Falco Theater and the
Yes.
Black box
neighborhood
theaters.
theaters, the
Yeah.
Black Box, yeah,
Yes.
the ones that
Yeah.
seat 100 or 150
Yeah.
people. Like you
Right.
can sell out 150 seats in Los Angeles with Anime the Musical or whatever it is you choose to do. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
it'll happen. I will be one of
Okay.
those
Totally.
seats.
I
Let's
was like,
go.
I know I've seen the video where it's like Attack on Titan. It's a dance routine, and I was like, it's so
Yes.
cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
Survey Core. Yeah.
Um.
Shout out or the core dance crew. I know that's what they go by
Yes.
now. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a
Yeah.
lot
Okay.
of good friends of mine. Yes.
Oh, nice.
Oh.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, two-part kind of towards the end of our time with you is one, what keeps you motivated? Because clearly you've had to push through without someone being an example ahead of you or not enough examples ahead of you. So one, what motivates you to keep going? And then two, what's next for you slash where can people find more about you?
Yes. I would say what keeps me motivated. It sounds like such a straightforward answer, but I just am genuinely curious. Like I love from the bottom of my heart creating things. And that's just something I've known since I was a kid. Like whether I was creating something as straightforward as I was involved in like, student government as a kid. Like so whether I'm just
Mm-hmm.
creating a like system at school or whether I'm creating a club or I've always been someone that was like a go-getter to start an idea and to see what it could become. And so what motivates me is just simply staying curious. I'm always curious about like how could like that idea and that idea put together like, oh my gosh, that sounds cool, like how do you think we could like make that into a thing? Like I'm very much an idea person and I'm like stuff like that really excites me. So I never get bored of ideas, I guess, so to speak. So and just I guess that's my personal, process. And I know for folks they're like, well, I have all these ideas and how do you just like choose one? It's like I just choose the one that's the most that I'm the curious about the most. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I just see what is like obtainable in that situation. Like which one is the one that is like the I can try doing at like such a low risk and just seeing like what I can make of it. And so yeah, that's how I stay motivated and creating stuff. And to find me, I'm pretty much everywhere. You can find me on face or I'm not going to say Facebook, but yeah, Facebook is there in case you are still on that platform. No shade. Um, I'm on Twitter. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Instagram. For the most part, my Twitter and my TikTok handle is it's Ally Vega, which is you can see it right here. And then my Instagram handle is _ Ally Vega. So yeah, that's where you can find me.
Yay! Well, thank you so much for joining us and talking about ALA, and just your mindset is really cool to hear. And I think that is a great suggestion for anybody, is just like, be curious. That is a good motivator to get you to be interested. And then that just hooks you to want to do more.
Yes, absolutely. I think the world would be in a much better place if we were just curious, and that if that curiosity came from like a genuine place,
yes,
wanting to know more.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, everybody. Stick around. We're still going to be talking Demon Slayer, but thank you very much to Ally Vega for joining us.
Thank you for having me. You guys are great. Yay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Go check out her page online, everybody. All right. Well, we'll see you next time.
Yeah, see you next time. Bye.
See ya. Well, she's amazing.
Yes, it was very delightful, and this is an example of the meeting people online only. So I was introduced to her via Brianna Utahime. There we go. I can't talk on my words.
That's okay. I have no words
in person.
It's fine.
And then I was all, there we go. Hold on. Yeah, okay. Well, I was all way thingamabobs. So it was just really cool to meet in person. I had a very long weekend. So yes. So we're gonna be talking Demon Slayer, but yeah, again, thank you and shout out to Ally for joining us. It was very fun to hear about ALA. And from the pictures I saw, it seemed like people had a really great time. I love when they make their masks match their cosplay.
Yes.
It's so cool.
That is what I'm looking forward to at Gallifrey, honestly.
Yeah. Creative safety. I love it.
Yes. And for anyone who knows anything about Gallifrey, I know someone who has masks in the pattern of the old carpet. So if anyone wants to really go nuts,
that'd be fun. Nice.
Like, yes, the deepest of in-jokes.
That's be like real deep cut if you know.
Everyone else like,
I was going to say, speaking of, I was like, I got my chibi shirt I got at Comic-Con, and this is before the newest Doctor was out, so that's why she's down there. But I'm like, this one's still cute though,
and I'm just in full Five Nights at Freddy's mode because if we do video games tonight, we haven't talked about Security Breach yet.
Right, we will probably get to that at the end here
in a bit.
Yes, but I know you're all here because Demon Slayer. Oh my goodness, that was such a good episode. I need to start with that because I was like, that had moments where I'm like, oh yes. I'm just like, you know, we get so excited, or at least for me, when I get so excited, I can almost cry because I'm just like, this is so good. And I felt that a couple times. I was like, so what did you think, Katie?
I was having one of those nights where I wasn't fully connected to reality.
Okay.
So people going, are you okay? Like, no, it's one of those, I'm tired. It's a little crazy. We watched it at like 11 o'clock at night. So I was just like, all righty, let's go. And that's when I did like the episode. Let's start with that. That was a hell of an episode. But there were points where I was just laughing. Like, I think at one point, all I could say was, did she just regrow a shoe? And the answer was yes. She did regrow a shoe along
for
the
for Daki, or for
yeah.
Well,
he took her foot off and she regrew the foot and the shoe, and that's kind of the point where I just went, okay, this episode is completely insane. I'm in. Let's go. But just
I'm okay with that though because her obi is a part of her, so maybe the other clothes are part of in a way too.
Oh, that's not me nitpicking. That's me going, oh, we're doing this. All right.
Well, on that direction, we'll go with Nezuko going from like prepubescent teenager to a woman.
Nezuko
I was like
going Super Saiyan.
I was like, oh damn, girl, okay. Like, yeah, she got much curvier, and those vines and breaking the bamboo thing. So good. Which also, quick side note, I'm blanking on the name of the program, but on NHK, if y'all don't know what NHK is, go check it out. It's a Japanese news station, which is available online. Most of it's in English, or if it's in Japanese, as subtitles. So go check them out. But there was a program on, it was like a concert series, and they had the actress who does Nezuko, who is also a singer, and she talked about, they asked her, they're like, oh, there's some like rumor that you actually bite onto something when you record. And she's like, well, no, because Nezuko's teeth aren't like on it, they're more in front of it. So she just does it where she has something more in front of her mouth. And that was just really cute to hear the Japanese actress talk about that. And just kind of funny, because then they were so like, okay, cool, rumor dispelled. I'm glad we asked. So yeah, that part when she went Super Saiyan mode made me so excited. It was so cool. And also Tanjiro had his Super Saiyan. Actually, there was a lot of like power-ups in this episode. Tanjiro's as well, and our demon. I liked her white hair. That looked cool. Oh, yeah.
Tanjiro coming from not breathing. It was like, aren't these all breathing-based techniques? Are you okay?
Right?
Like, it's the Shonen Battle Rage power-up. And I'm like, okay,
Yes.
we know he's not okay
The
because
blood.
he's literally bleeding from the eyeballs, which is not something you should generally do. Like,
I had a moment that I'm like, is that like part of the power-up? And I'm like, no, I don't think so.
Like, I appreciate that all of this existed, and I appreciate that it was just a demon being petty and destroying people in front of him that got him going. It's like, this is the soft boy shonen protagonist, where it's, don't you touch these innocent people. It's like, I'ma do it, don't you do it, I'ma do it. Okay, now we have trouble. But also, like, he's heavily injured, and now he is bleeding from the eyeballs. And I know we're looking at a power-up here, but also, like, yikes! Yikes!
Yep.
I gotta say, he has some very convenient family flashbacks, though, just in terms of, hey, brother, please breathe.
Yes.
Like, oh,
okay,
you were
so
about to
question.
die, weren't you?
Question. And then this is for people watching as well. Leave a comment down below. So his memories and flashbacks, do you think he's actually communicating with his dead family members? Or is it just his memory of them giving him encouragement? Because the way the show is done, I think he is able to connect with his family, even though they have passed away. Like, the way it's done within the show, I feel he is connecting to something somewhere else besides just his own head. But that's just my opinion. So what about you, Katie? And then everybody else, comment down below.
This show is so completely buck wild, I'd buy it either way.
You're like, that's true. Fair.
How do things work in Demon Slayer? Are they actually summoning fire and water and God knows what else with their swords? Who knows? It started off as... exaggeration's not the right word, a stylistic choice. And now it's like, no, I actually do believe that they are summoning fire and water and God knows what else with these swords. Why not? Let's go. I no longer believe that this is a metaphor. I think it's actually happening. And in that case, sure. But I don't think he's doing it on purpose.
No, that's what I mean. I think that speaks to the testament of his connection with his family, that they are able to communicate with him that way. Because that makes me think of when I was watching My Hero for a bit. I was thinking Midoriya's like lighting up stuff. I'm like, do other people see that, or is that just for us? And then they finally kind of have somebody saying something about it. I'm like, okay, cool, because like same like what you're just saying. I'm like, that could just be an artistic interpretation, or it is literally lights on his body. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, same thing. You go, sure, I'll buy it.
Honestly, the thing I appreciated most about this episode was Dad Rengoku writing him letters.
Yes.
That is happening, like that's happening at all. But also that this is something that we got over the 4-month time skip where they were recovering and training. Like, we got to see a little more of their training in flashback, but also going, oh, wait, he actually did get some sense knocked into him. He is doing better. Like, he's actually picking himself up and doing better for himself and his remaining son. And that is incredible. We love to see it. So
character
really
growth. Yay.
Like character growth for a minor character, where when last we left him, it was just like, and then there's this guy. So
do we think he'll come back? And we're only talking about the show. So if you read it, do not spoil it. But I feel like this almost sets it up that he might come back to help Tanjiro learn the the sun techniques and what he knows. Like he might come back, or it might be like this again. It might be another letter or something. Like I feel his characters come back enough that they're like, he's gonna come back again. You know, something.
I can see letters. I can see maybe another visit to the house. I don't see him being combat active.
That's true.
No, I don't see him being a regular. I don't see him picking up the sword to fight again. Or if we do, it's going to be wild. Yeah. But I do see him, because he shredded that book that they needed. I do see him working to restore it.
It might be in here. Yeah,
I'm sure it is. Somewhere in all that alcohol. I'm sure I'm sure it is.
Speaking of memories, what did you think of that Daki's memory connecting to our master demon of memory in the cells, and is Tanjiro's dad?
Was it for sure Tanjiro's dad?
Oh, that's fair. I assume.
I don't know. Yeah. I didn't think it was. I figured it was because what's his name? Michael Jackson Demon. What the fuck is his name? You know who I'm talking about.
Yes.
Muzan? No.
Yes. Yes. Muzan.
Yes. Hey, I can remember a name on occasion. Yeah. I get the feeling he's been around for a while. A while.
Well, it feels like it's his dad from the small memories we had of him, but back when he was healthy. Because our memory visuals that we've seen is he's very sunken cheeked and he's very frail, but the hair is pretty much the same. And the fact that Tanjiro's saying the same kind of words makes me think it's his father, maybe a grandfather, then to go with your theory that it's an older demon memory. But
I can see it.
Think someone related to him.
I can see it in the bloodline, but I also don't think we would have this whole thing about sun breathing being a lost art that people don't really know if it was his dad. I think it's much further up the line than we know. Back when this was a known thing, as opposed to Tanjiro attempting to rediscover it from a seasonal dance he saw his father do. Like, I think we're seeing way back.
I like it. I
think we've got a few generations here.
Yes. Yep, and we got Giga Derek in the chat. Thank you. Yep,
thank
you. And welcome.
Yeah, you're like, I don't know anyone's names.
Right. It's like, well, it's all about character design. We know what they look like. We're like, that's what they look like.
It's like, oh, it's that guy.
Yes.
And then there's this asshole.
Well, then the other thing with that too is, what did you think? Remember, and even just last week, I was talking about the headscarf. I feel this is one of those almost a Macbethian / catch-22 things where he goes, I'm not the chosen one because I wasn't born with it. But I'm like, but you still got the same scar. So it still could mean the same thing. And maybe that mythology that you have to been born with it is the part that's maybe a little flexible. But people who have the scar and it's conveniently the same spot, I'm like,
No, especially if this is something that is potentially in his bloodline, like
that too.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Like, and again, this is a show that's like, you don't have to come by things naturally. You can improve. And we have seen with Rengoku's younger brother, like, not everyone is cut out for a life of violence, and that's okay. But we've also seen Kid from the Boonies is our protagonist. So it takes all types. This is a show that's told us you may not be able to achieve everything you want, but it's also told us, but you should still go for it.
I was going to say,
you can improve, you can work on things.
Speaking of that, we have our amazing skills of running while you're asleep. I thought that was so funny when
it's better this way.
And Zenitsu are running, and he's like, "How are you asleep and running?" And bloop, the eyeball, and
wasn't that the post-credits scene?
It might be, but
that was the post-credits scene.
And that was super funny.
It's just the jokes felt like, yeah, he's better like this. And I'm like, my apologies to any Zenitsu fans out there, whoever you may be, but he's better like this. Like, we're not there yet. We're not there yet. Inosuke grew on me much faster than Zenitsu has.
Also, I love when Inosuke got essentially yelled at by our flashy Hashira.
He got a taste of his own medicine. It was beautiful because that's what he does to other people. And to see him flipping the script like that was amazing.
Oh, it was so funny. So funny.
And then watching this with my roommate where
Yeah.
his wives all go, don't worry about us. You need to go. We're fine. And he's like, okay. And my roommate just goes, he's a wife guy. I'm like, yes.
Yeah. Speaking of essentially flipping the script, changing things up, Giga Derek makes a good point. So Muzan has some level of omniscience and influence with all the demons. So was he panicking during the fight, or was that all Daki?
I don't think he knows how to panic. I think
I want
that
to
was
say
Daki.
I want to say it was Daki, if only because the problem with almost all of the demons, they have so much arrogance that they cannot even comprehend that someone could fight them and beat them, and that's what's their main downfall. They always underestimate.
Like 70 Hashira, not 70, 7 Hashira or something crazy.
She's
right?
killed a bunch and eat them. Yeah. Ate them. Yeah. So
she
she's
has
like,
done a
whatever.
number of murders.
And I don't think she's had anybody really get her to struggle like this, the way Tanjiro gave her a run for her money. And it was so cool to see him so cool.
Yeah. And then Muzan just like petting her head and telling her she's special. And I'm like, oh, baby. Oh, baby. And I don't buy her. Like, oh, I don't remember anything about life as a human. And the visuals are telling the audience, yes, she does. Here's her tragic backstory. She just doesn't care.
Yeah. Well, she's that one of two of like, I don't have to starve. I don't have to know where my food's coming from. And I have a life that I'm like,
we don't get old. We don't get sick. And I'm like, all right, okay. You definitely remember where you came from. And you're just like, I'm never going back there. Being a demon is better. It's like, okay, we're not supposed to have sympathy for you because you remember and you don't care.
I want to say, if anything, maybe Muzan's spider sense is tingling with it, like maybe he doesn't freak out, but it might be like the edge of his essence where he's like, this shouldn't be happening. Like, because he maybe senses her, this shouldn't be happening. So I don't know. That's a good question. I guess we'll find out later. Leave your comments down below, your thoughts on what you think is going on there.
But we do get this. I appreciate the Demon Slayer with those earrings. Kill him. It's like, oh, the earrings are... That's the other thing that makes me think it's in Tanjiro's bloodline, that the earrings would also be passed down, because he got the earrings from his dad.
Yeah. So, Giga Derek, we'll clarify. So the memory wasn't hers, though. No, the memory of the small girl in the home with the mother who was face down and dead, probably from starvation. I feel that's her memory. The memory of the fighter, that's not hers. Because that's where she was like, I don't know who this is. And that's who we think is Tanjiro's bloodline. And that would be Muzan's memory, which is they get because they got the blood and stuff all in them. Yeah. Yeah. Whatever that means.
Yeah. But I definitely 100% those flashbacks of the little girl and the dead mother, like, that's her. That is absolutely her.
I feel we've seen that storyline actually another time too, like similar plot lines for someone who becomes a villain in terms of they were starving and death plague everything, and like this is their way to move forward, and they just happen to kill people and don't care, and that's a problem.
Again, we're back to cool motive, still murder.
Mm-hmm. So, exactly. Yeah. Oh, I like that. Yeah. Cool motive, still murder. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Thank you, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, for giving that to us, because that's been amazing. That has been one of my favorite. I don't mind if people defend villains. That's fine. This is your favorite character. You like them. That's great. But don't you try to tell me they never did anything wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It's like again, cool motive, still murder.
Yeah.
So.
Because also, too, our Daki lady is a very good-looking lady that, I mean, we can't hate her too much of like, well, she's very nice to watch.
She is a horror show. She is a horror show when she's pretending to be human, and she is even more of a horror show when she's not. Honestly, she might be more of a horror show when she's pretending to be human.
Right? Ooh,
because
she's
just
scary.
taking that place in that power structure.
Mm-hmm.
It's one thing for people being unable to fight back because they don't have the physical power. Like, that's one thing. It's another thing entirely to just destroy the people beneath you at your whim because you know you have the political power, the influence.
I was being very superficial and talking about her physical body. But
Oh,
yes,
I
that
know.
too.
I
Okay.
know. I am well aware. I went off on a completely different tangent. I'm over
Fine.
here.
Yes, that's okay.
Yeah.
I follow now. But yes,
Yeah.
but her essence of her presence is incredible too, of just like how much fear she instills on people and how much literal destruction she has around her. Yeah.
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 She's an entire horror show.
Yes. I did like the character design change with the white hair. I already said that, but I thought that was cool. What do you think with the vines on Nezuko? Back to her, because we see it in the opening credits. And actually, this episode, I remember before you're like, "Where's Nezuko?" And I'm like, "That's a good point. We're 6 episodes in, and we've barely seen her, or at least 5 before this point." And I'm like, "Dude!" And even Tanjiro like puts the box down. And he's like, "Hey, don't come out. I'm gonna do a thing." I'm like, "No, you're a team. That's the whole point. You guys work so well together." But on that opening credit thing, we see the cool vines happening. We don't really know what that means yet. But do you think that's then connected to where it is on her physical body?
I guess this all kind of came right out of nowhere. And the
That's
best
true.
that I can figure is early on we had that, oh, she doesn't need to eat people, but she needs to sleep. Well, she's been doing the Rip Van Winkle thing in that box for a while, y'all. So I don't know. I don't know. She's someone who really does benefit
She's
from
full
a long
on her
rest.
sleep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I don't know. It all it's weird because demons work on a very different power scale than humans, and it's generally how much human have you consumed? But Nezuko doesn't work like that. So it's a little weird to be like, and now she suddenly has this amazing
She's
glow up and she's
Poison
much
Ivy.
more powerful.
Yeah.
And it's bizarre. Like,
yes.
I'm not saying, oh no, I don't need more Nezuko. I'm sitting here going, kill her. Just Nezuko, just take her to the cleaners. Destroy her, please. But it came so completely out of nowhere that it's just like, I with all of the batshit insane stuff that Demon Slayer has done in this episode alone and in general over the series, this is the point where I'm like, even if we have some wild stuff happening, it's all been explained.
You know what's going to suck,
is
though?
just right out of nowhere.
What's going to suck is none of our team is nearby and Tanjiro's passed out. So nobody's going to see this. So I kind of had a small prediction. I'm like, she's going to go back to normal by the time he wakes up and nobody's going to know she does this. And I'm going to be like, no,
I'm expecting the rest of the team to show up before the end of this
I hope they see
I'm
it because I'm like,
expecting this to
please.
be tag teamed.
I was like, no, this is going to be so lame that she'll do something so cool. And of course, Sandra's like asleep, obviously, you know, for good reason. But I'm like, he's missing it. He's missing how cool she is right now.
I just need Zenitsu to be asleep the whole time.
Yeah,
and it's all over by the time he wakes up. It's like, oh yeah, Nezuko was huge and she was fighting and it was crazy. And he's like, what? My Nezuko? It's like, no, sit down. Sit down. Yeah, no, I do think we are going to have the rest of the crew join the fight next episode because there's nothing else happening in the meat locker. We no longer have a B plot going on. Now it's just running. So I do think that they will make it there sometime during the next episode. I would say probably around midpoint.
Yeah.
To join the fight.
It's a big city, but not that big. And I would think they should be able to sense, or, you know, Inosuke should do his little radar thing and be like, I was just surprised nobody on the team noticed.
Hella fast.
Yes.
That there's, go to the destruction and see what happens. Like, I'm sure they'll show up.
Yeah.
I don't think that this is something that's going to be missed. Maybe entirely by Tanjiro. Maybe he'll get that weird second wind and wake up enough to be conscious, but not enough to help because he's a little maimed. But yeah.
We need him to get like a health power up to help him out. Like, oh no.
I don't think recovery breathing's going to help you when you forget to breathe. I don't think you can breathe that one shut.
No.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. The fact that whole thing was him not breathing right up until he got that bodily reminder that he needed oxygen was
so,
just like,
yep.
dang, what?
Yes, yes.
So,
Uh,
yeah.
Anything else in this episode that stood out to you before we move on?
God, I think we covered everything.
I think so. It was so good. I was super excited by it. It was, I mean, they've all been really good, but this one really had me like, oh,
Oh, yeah.
yes. Like, but maybe it is that build up to this moment. Like it has been like a build up to like really good fight and really cool
Yeah.
sequences.
I think this is our climactic fight for this arc.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm
Giga Derek
worried about
says we're
tanking
a
a bit.
little bit, maybe, but
Yeah, one fear.
huh?
And I
Yeah.
continue to go back to, I think he'll survive because we just killed Rengoku.
Yeah,
And we
I don't
can't
think it,
really
no,
afford to set a
too
precedent
soon.
of,
Yeah.
like, yeah, we can't afford, I don't think the show can afford to set a precedent of meet the Hashira, become friends with the
And
Hashira, love the Hashira, lose the
yeah.
Hashira. Like,
Mm-mm.
I don't see, especially since so much of this has been his connection to his wives. I don't see that happening here. I don't think that's what we're looking at because I think that sets a precedent of we've introduced a Hashira. They're dead by the end of the arc. Like, I don't
Yeah.
think this show's going to do that.
Well,
Just in
Giga
terms
Derek,
of storytelling beats.
true. Giga Derek points out starting to mirror the end of Mugen Train with Tanjiro down and a Hashira about to fight. Fair,
That's true.
but
But at
maybe
the
they'll
end of
change
Mugen
it.
Train, when Tanjiro went down, the main threat was taken care of. And
Yeah.
then another one showed up because we still
So
had 30
surprise.
minutes left in the movie.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
but the advertised I'm going to become one with the train threat taken care of.
Yes.
Not the case
All
here.
right. Yeah. I think we
So
got
yeah,
more going
like
on.
I can see the parallelism there, but again, just in terms of story beats and setting precedents, I think killing another Hashira kind of
I think a bit
lessens
too
the
soon.
tragedy of Rengoku.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
killing him right away, right after. And also, it's not one of those, oh, this was meaningful and he inspired us and we loved him. It would just be bitter because his whole motivation here has been like, I need to protect the people I love. And then the
Mhm.
realization that he made bad decisions and put other people in danger while attempting to do that. Like, we got growth from him. We got an arc from him. And his entire thing is these human connections. So then just killing him off at the end of it because we have a powerful demon is like, no, I don't think so. That's, I don't want to be like, that's Game of Thrones levels of anyone can die. Because, I don't know, man. I don't know. Even if we're not talking late seasons Game of Thrones, these shows approach their tropes very differently.
Yes.
And I don't want to ascribe that type of storytelling to this show.
Yeah. I
don't know. I feel like I'm not wording this very well.
I agree.
There.
I don't think it'd be too, I think it's too soon. I don't think they'll do that. I just realized we kind of skipped past it because we were excited we had a guest, but real quick, I did want to say on things we're excited about. One, I haven't had a chance to watch it, but new Attack on Titan, the last bit of it finally aired, or started. So go check that out. Have you watched it yet?
No, we're still halfway through the previous half of it. We'd been doing our own videos on it. And then at the time of year when it was happening, it just turned into life was very difficult at the time. And Titan has some really heavy subject material this season. So it was just like, I can only handle so much, and this is not part of it.
Well, this is probably good then too, that by the time you get to it, like it'll be done, that you could like watch all of it and not have to wait. Yes.
Yeah, it's just a matter of attempting to stay spoiler free, but it was
yeah. No spoilers, y'all. Don't be mean.
There's no shame in enjoying a media, but still understanding that you can't engage with the subject matter without doing damage to your mental health at the time. And that is why I stopped, because a little too much on my plate to be able to handle that in a healthy manner. Just a little too much going on.
Yeah. I mean, I feel that's why some people like different. Everybody kind of has their fluff show where they don't have to think too hard and just can enjoy it, not be too heavy. But that's
For
out
me, that's YouTube videos.
In case y'all didn't know, so go check out the last bit of Attack on Titan. I was out of town for the weekend, so I was like, I didn't get a chance to watch it, but I want to. Also, reminder that Belle is coming to theaters on this Friday, the 14th. So go check it out. It's absolutely beautiful. There we go. Beautiful. And it's just a really great story and everything like that. And if you've seen any of the previous films by that filmmaker, go watch it.
I'm going to say things I'm excited about. Speaking of coming to theaters, Scream. Scream is this weekend. When Scream 4 came to theaters, I had never seen a Scream movie. I don't do horror movies very well. There are very few franchises and movies that I'm really into, which is why Five Nights at Freddy's is such a surprise. And yes, I loved Willy's Wonderland. You should all watch it. It's ridiculous. So
yeah, the Nicolas Cage one, right?
Yes,
it's so fun and bonkers. Go watch it.
It's insane. We'll talk about that in recommendations because I have so many opinions about it and it's great.
Yeah.
But Scream is the Scream trilogy, 1, 2, and 4 is one of my favorites. And again, I didn't see 4 in theaters because I hadn't seen any Scream movies at that point. So I think that this might be the last Scream movie we get with this cast, just in terms of it takes a chunk of time to do a Scream movie. This is the first one without Wes Craven's involvement because he passed away a few years ago. So the preliminary reviews are good. James A. Janice liked it, which for me says, all right, I'm in. If James likes it, we're good. So we have tickets for Saturday, and I'm very excited. And if anyone spoils me on Friday, we'll have problems. But yeah, so Scream 5, otherwise just known as Scream, in much the same way Halloween 2018 was just Halloween. Again, Halloween, the sequel to Halloween.
Couple very different movies coming to theaters, depending on what you're in the mood for.
Yes. Get your KN95, be safe. If you are comfortable going to a theater, do the thing. If you're not comfortable going to the theater, that is also a perfectly legitimate strategy. We are in the middle of a pandemic, folks.
Then, which we kind of talked about, which would lead us into stuff you should check out. And if you want to mention your recommendation, because you were kind of already going on it, then I'm like, yes.
I have 2. They're both haunted animatronics. So for those of you who follow the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise in any capacity, you know that the long-awaited game that was supposed to come out on the 5th anniversary and didn't happen because COVID delays, because everything is COVID delays, and that's fine. This is also gaming. Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach has dropped. It dropped in December. So it's out if you want to play it. Or if you're like me, you sit down and you watch Markiplier play it because that's funny. And also Jacksepticeye is playing it too if you prefer a different flavor of screaming. It's a hot mess. This game is so broken. But I love it so much. The voice acting is top notch. The plot is a little all over the place, but they have taken a completely different approach to the FNAF franchise. It's the first time we get to see, it's the first time we have a human character who isn't super dead or super hecked up by the time the game starts. We play as Gregory, a young child who is stuck in the Freddy Fazbear Mega Pizzaplex and has to survive until 6 a.m. so he can escape, with a security guard who may or may not also be a serial killer after him, and 3 animatronics who have had their programming corrupted going after him, and one, Freddy, for once, being an ally. This is the first time we've had an animatronic not attempt to murder us and actually be a large part of the game. And Glamrock Freddy is voiced by Kellen Goff, who does an incredible job. if you're familiar with the franchise, he's been Funtime Freddy, and he's also Sun and Moon in this game, which you can definitely hear it in Sun. It's it's the creepy voice, but he's so damn good at it. So yeah, the VO's great. It's fun to watch. It's kind of janky mechanically, and it's kind of fun to see those weird little things pop up during playthroughs. And the endings don't make a lot of sense, but it's a fun ride. Like, this game is a mess, but I love it. And speaking
Nice.
of a mess, but I love it, Willy's Wonderland. This would have
Woo.
been like the low budget FNAF movie knockoff if we'd ever gotten the FNAF movie, if it hadn't been stuck in development and rights hell and is still evidently stuck in development hell. It's
a perfect midnight movie, like a midnight movie crowd vibe. It's so bonkers.
When it dropped,
in such a
we ordered
fantastic way.
pizza and turned off the lights.
Yes.
It's a haunted animatronic movie, and it's two movies stitched into one. And it centers around this, the local off-brand Chuck E. Cheese's called Willy's Wonderland. It's been shut down for years. All of the animatronics are homicidal and attempt to murder people. And the two different stories that we have going on that dovetail at one point is we have the story of the scrappy teenagers who live in this small town, and their lives have been dominated by this stupid haunted thing that's taken over their town, and they hate it. And this is going to be the night where they burn it down, and we're finally going to take care of it, and it's going to be gone forever, guys. And we have the story of this guy with a fast car who suffers some tire damage on the way through town.
Whoops.
And instead of being able to pay for it, because it's cash only, but the ATM is busted, and if this smells like a trap, there's a reason.
Yeah.
Well,
Nicolas
Cage. Well, we have this pizzeria, and we just need you to stay in it overnight and, do a little cleaning to pay it off. And then in the morning, all your tires will be new and ready on your car, and it'll be great. Nicolas Cage is completely silent in this movie.
It's
Effort
so
noises,
funny that he never talks.
No dialogue.
He never speaks.
He's so expressive, though. It's so much fun.
It's gore and horror, but it's so funny.
Good. It's the epitome of I'm not stuck in here with you. You're stuck in here with me. Because he dismantles the animatronics when they try to come after him. And the physical acting is amazing. The comedy beats are so, so good. This is a movie where you can see the stitches where the two stories are put together. It really could have benefited from another pass on the script, because there are a few things where it's like, this character exists to fill out the body count. This scene doesn't make any sense. How did this happen? There's a few bits that are like, okay. And then there's a few bits in there that are so brilliantly executed. You sit there and go, this doesn't belong in a B movie. Like, this bit is so damn good. I'm thinking of the Six Little Chickens bit.
Well,
that number is so good. It's this perfectly done, atmospherically creepy. It's incredibly well done. All the music is great. So it's
the how and the why is really good too.
Yeah,
like the lore explanation.
Yeah.
Because those could be lame, but that one I'm like, or they won't give you anything. So I like that they tell you.
Well, and for the haunted animatronic genre, because that's a thing now with all of the knockoff games and the Banana Splits movie and everything, a lot of it hinges on the backstory for the animatronics, and just as much hinges on the story's approach. How seriously are we taking this? How much of a threat are they? How much danger are you in? And so the fact that we get both from this group of kids who's obviously not equipped to deal with this, and Nicolas fucking Cage destroying them, it's incredible. And there are some beautiful, beautiful scenes between him and the person that is going to be our final girl. And just don't expect a masterpiece. It's way too good to be so bad it's good, but it's also not like a great movie.
Okay.
It's a weird little place in the middle, but like, get some pizza.
It's very entertaining.
It's very entertaining. Like, get some pizza. If you're old enough to drink, get a drink. And or if you wish to partake in other ways, like, do it safely,
Mm-hmm.
but just sit back and watch this completely ridiculous movie. I think it's on Hulu at this point. But yeah, I love
it's
Willy's
definitely on one of the streaming
Wonderland.
services.
I love Willy's
Yes.
Wonderland, and I wish that Hot Topic was still selling that shirt because I would buy one in a heartbeat.
Oh, I don't think I ever saw it there.
They were
That would
selling
be
it
cool.
for a while, and I missed it.
Semi rewind. Giga Derek does point out met Kellen a few years ago. Lovely dude. Yes, we
he's
concur.
good people. He's
Yes.
such good people. Yeah, I've had the opportunity to talk with him a few times, and he's just great.
Yes. I do concur on Willy's Wonderland. It's super fun. I haven't watched a ton of stuff, but I did finally start the Book of Boba Fett, which is really cool on Disney Plus. If you're a Star Wars fan or just kind of a good action sci-fi Western, very Western. Yeah. It's just really interesting so far. I'm glad I waited a little bit, so there's 2 episodes to watch at one time rather than just the one, because it is a bit like, where are we going with this? And like, what's up next? So I like where it's going. It's pretty interesting, and it keeps you like curious to know what's going to happen next, and just the world building's interesting. Because I mean, we already know that world enough, but to see what other pieces are in it are really fascinating.
Yeah, it's specifically the politics and functioning of Tatooine. We're not looking at the galaxy or the universe at large. We are specifically small scale looking at Tatooine and looking at what a power shift looks like in the wake of Jabba's death. And then I cannot remember the name of his secretary. And you know what? That's fine. The guy who took over for Jabba and then hecked off.
Yeah. The effects, of course, are gorgeous.
Of course.
There's a mare that you see, and I just really liked how that was done and how the voices and everything. And I was like, ooh, this is really interesting.
I can't remember the species of alien that he is, but every time they're on screen, the execution is so good.
Yes. So if you haven't watched it yet, I do recommend it. Or if you want to wait a couple more weeks, people have been pretty good about not spoiling things. If you want to have like a chunk of episodes to watch at a time, I feel you.
Honestly, I would recommend week to week. And it does that fun thing where the first half of the episode is in the present and the second half of the episode is flashback. So we get how did he get out of the Sarlacc pit? What happened after that?
Yeah.
And as much as I'm enjoying the political intrigue in the present, the stuff we got in the flashback from episode 2
the history
was
is really cool.
Yeah. Oh, so good.
So I want to know how much more we get of that and where's that go. So
and
go check it out, y'all.
I cannot remember his name. Our main actor, the man who plays Boba Fett, I believe he's Maori.
I think so.
So they took some of like his background and traditions and integrated it into that, which is absolutely incredible because we have subverted the space Western trope of white guy gets adopted by native tribe and they made it their own. Which, again, I'm not the best qualified person to commentate on that. But I have also seen people who are far more qualified than I am appreciate that for what it is. So again, grain of salt, your own opinions. And again, I'm a white woman. I don't have the history and background to commentate on something like this in an educated manner. What I can say is I appreciated what they did with it. I really enjoyed their approach to these specific Western tropes and how they executed or subverted them. Like, good stuff. Good stuff.
I'm just going to go with ditto. Yep.
Yeah.
Think you said it well. And I'm like, yes, ditto. Well, then that does bring us to the end of our time. We had a lot to cover today. We have special guests, great episode of Demon Slayer, and some fun recommendations for you. Also, if you're along this way, you're watching some of our recommendations and coming back later and watching them, or, you watch them and then anyway. Whenever you watch them, let us know your thoughts. We want to know that you saw it because I always love recommending something and people enjoying it. Or if you didn't like it, that's totally okay too. Please, you can tell us. That's fine.
And tweet us if you watch. If I'm like, I recommend something, and you're like, I watched that thing. I'm like, slide into my DMs. We're gonna talk.
Yes. So speaking of that. You can follow us online. First of all, Make sure to give video a thumbs up, click that subscribe button so you can be up to date when all these videos drops. But yes, thank you for joining us Monday nights at 7:30 p.m. live. And if you're watching it later, no worries, comment down below all the different things that we covered in this episode. And Katie, where can people find you online?
You can follow me all over the social medias, as well as on YouTube and Twitch at Kiaxet. That is Kiaxet. It's got the nice little visual there. Yeah, life has been real weird recently, so I don't have content coming out right now, but I definitely went on a bit of a tear about God, I keep calling it sister location, security breach. So that's on my Twitter if you want to see, like, here's what I think about the story. Here's what I think about the characters. Let's go. I had some 1:45 a.m. opinions, and I thought they were good ones.
Nice. Yeah. Well, everybody go check that out. And y'all can find me online at Carrie D Lane. That's Karidlane across all the social media, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Yeah, not a ton of stuff just yet, but stay tuned. Yeah, just stay tuned because life and all. But
life is a thing and it's happening, you guys. Like, dang.
Yes.
Wow.
Right. But thank you all for being here and for watching it. We appreciate you. This is our 10th episode. So I was like, wait, 10. Almost, it's like yes.
Almost.
What? So we're super excited that you have joined us, or if you've been along this journey, or if you're joining us new. Both are awesome. And we love you. Thank you for being here. Be safe. And we'll see you next week. See ya.